What's going on, guys? It's Sodium Overdose, and today we're doing a little bit of a different video today, and it's a very different. It's a very special one that's near and dear to my heart, as you can tell, by the title. This is the first time since 2015 that I've actually looked at an updated tier list for this game. Okay. Now, online, for like the past few years, yes, we've seen and looked at, and I've seen and looked at several different tier lists, and I've always found it interesting how long it took for this tier list to finally come out, because Super Smash Bros. Melee, not having a tier list for this long, an official tier list for this long, since, like, it's been 6 years, is kind of one of the reasons why there are a lot of players that don't really understand what the meta is. Now, there's some things that are still consistent with the tier list, but there are some things that I had my doubts about, and I had my doubts about these characters way back in the day in 2015. I had my doubts about some characters, and some of those doubts have come to the surface and have been true in a sense. So I'm gonna look at it right now. But this is the current tier list for 2021. Now, as you can see the typical perpetrators here. We got Fox, Marth, Jigglypuff, Falco. Now, honestly, my whole doubts about the 2015 one was Marth's placement in the first place. Fox's placement is completely appropriate for where he is. Top tier, the best character in the game, the best character in Smash Bros. History. But that's just my opinion. Actually, no. I think the best character in Smash Bros. History is Meta Knight, but that's a totally different conversation. But Fox didn't change. It's a no-brainer. Fox is the best character. But the biggest change was Marth here. Now, Marth is a very fascinating character. Okay, Marth follows under a very... Marths have just gotten so much better in the past few years. It's one of the reasons why it's one of the reasons why I use the character. Marth is consistent. Marth is really good against characters like Fox and Falco. And at this point now, Jigglypuff is starting to become more of a threat to characters like Falco, and Marth is starting to be more of a winnable. He's a usable character against Puff now, with all the techniques that have come out within the past 6 years. Which brings me to the next subject at hand, Jigglypuff. All right, Jigglypuff in general has taken the reins of Melee's floaty meta. I mean, ever since Armada had kind of just left the scene, Peach has sort of been on a decline. I mean, as you can see, Peach is at number 7 right now. That's where Peach is. Peach is number 7 on the tier list. And Jigglypuff has been on the rise. When it comes to Falco, though, I think Falco is under a very different... Falco is being undercounted, underrated here. I think Falco, in terms of this whole digital age and how Falcos have been more consistent online, really goes to show that Falco is completely underrated here. I don't like the placement of him here. I think he's a little better than Jigglypuff, but that's just me. Is this tier list going to affect the characters I play? No. I think Falco, Fox, and Marth are a perfect sort of balance of characters that I use. I have my Fox if I want to be efficient and fast, and I want to take care of Marths with a consistency to that point. Marth is a character that I would use if I want to fight Falco to beat Falco with a consistency. Falco, I can beat Foxes and Marths with him. You know, it's always about consistency for me. And those three characters in particular have a rock paper scissors type deal about them, because, you know, Fox counters Falco, Falco counters Fox, Marth counters Falco, Falco counters Marth. It's a messy game of rock paper scissors, but it's rock paper scissors nonetheless, depending on who you're playing. And now we're getting to A tier. A tier I really don't have a problem with. I mean, these characters are properly rated, properly ranked. It's kind of like, yeah, it is what it is. Sheik is still good. I mean, Captain Falcon is on the rise. I have a consistent problem against Captain Falcons, no matter what it is. Captain Falcon is just that one matchup that I cannot figure out for the life of me. If the Falcon is good, I can't figure it out for the life of me. I need to figure that matchup out. Peach, not really a problem. I don't use Peach, so I can't really say anything about it. Going into B tier, I think a lot of these characters are properly rated. Yoshi is still consistently good. I mean, Yoshi won one major, and it wasn't even a major. I think, yeah, Yoshi and Pikachu both won tournaments consistently, or not really consistently, but out of the characters here, the ones that are on the rise are neutral, or ones that have won tournaments that haven't won tournaments in a long time. All right, your Yoshis, your Pikachus, your Captain Falcons. Samus, I think, is a little too high, but it's Samus. I gotta give her the benefit. She's my favorite character. She's my favorite character to see being played on screen. It's really cool to see Samus's play. And Luigi and Dr. Mario, not really much of a change there. I kind of just like, yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Now, getting into the C tiers and D tiers, I'm going to be a little more, I'm not going to be thorough, but I am going to talk about some things that I would change, and also, like, sort of like, yeah, this was kind of stupid. And the big one there was the F tiers, because I have been right about this for the longest time. And it's just very interesting, because I kind of, the F tier, the worst character in the game, I'm going to get into. And it's going to be very, very, very analytical and kind of like blah, blah, blah. But I'm not an analytical player. I'm just going to say how it is. Some of these characters just suck. So getting into the C tier characters and the D tier characters and the F tiers, not really much has changed. I mean, Ganondorf is good. Ganondorf is good and still is good. Mario, no change there. Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong has had some good results over the past 6 years. Young Link, sort of not really. The one thing about Young Link, and I'll get into it right now. Young Link is not a character that one would main. I will agree with this wholeheartedly with a lot of other players. Young Link is not a good main. All right, Young Link is a good secondary. Young Link will never ever be up to the same level as Link. Link has more tools and is more usable in tournaments, but considering looking at the tier list here, how Young Link is better than Link, it's kind of just like, well, I mean, it's weird, but at the same time, Young Link is a faster character, but more people use Link rather than Young Link. That's just how I see it. I see more Young Links online, but they're more secondary use people, like players. They don't use Young Link as much as other characters in the game. I can see someone using Young Link in a more low tier tournament setting. If they don't have another low tier character that they like to use, they just use Young Link, because Young Link is relatively easy to use. Link is a little bit more complicated and a little bit more slower. But I can't really get much into Young Link and Link. Those two characters are still relatively good, and I can't really say anything about it. They didn't really change much over the past 6 years. Now, this is an interesting one. Mewtwo. Mewtwo is on the rise, and for some reason, Roy has gone down. If we've seen anything from Zane, it's that Roy can win a tournament. Okay, and I think him winning a tournament with Roy should have shot Roy up probably past Game & Watch. That is just my opinion, though. Game & Watch is not as good as people think. I think Game & Watch has tools. They just don't have he doesn't have out of shield options. Mr. Game & Watch has horrible out of shield options, and it also goes with the fact that Mr. Game & Watch does not have a shield. Okay, if Game & Watch's shield was better and a lot more useful, Mr. Game & Watch's spot would be solidified at 19. I don't agree with the Game & Watch placement here. I just don't. Going with Pichu, yeah, Pichu's good. I mean, come on, you can't deny it. Pichu's actually decent in the meta. Pichu used to be down here with Kirby and Bowser used to be all the way up there, but we'll get to that later. But Pichu is a good character, come on. Ness, no change there, can't really say much. Horrible spacing options, like really bad when it comes to spacing. Glitchy character, you can't really do much with him. He's just like, you can't approach. You have to be up close and personal. His grab range is trash. There's not much to say. Zelda, whatever. Zelda's horrible. But I'm going to go into F tier now. Now, F tier is the one that I have been saying for a long time, okay? Kirby is not the worst character in the game. Kirby was never the worst character in the game. Kirby is bad, but he's not horrible. That crown goes to Bowser. Bowser is awful, okay? Yes, Bowser has the excellent up B out of shield option, but Kirby is just better in every single way. Kirby has more jumps, can recover easier, and is much faster than Bowser. Bowser only has one good thing, and that's just, you have to be a good player to beat people with Bowser. You have to be a really good player. You have to be a really good mental player to play with Bowser. You have to be someone that knows players. You need to know how players react to certain situations to be good with Bowser. And not a lot of people are good with that, okay? People like me, people that are really focused on just playing the game and feeling the game and reading people's movements, know how to use Bowser more than the person that plays the game and analyzes every nitty-gritty piece of material from the game. So, and there's more of those players, more of the analytical players that like to look and dissect the game. Kirby is just a better character. That's just the bottom line. Kirby's just a better character. And I've always, like I said, I've always been a proponent of Bowser being the worst character in the game. And I stand by that, and I've stood by that since 2015, ever since the last tier list came out. Like, the 2015 tier list came out. I was always a proponent of Bowser being worse than Kirby. I was always a proponent of that. And now we're seeing it here. We're seeing it here now with Bowser being ranked number 26. I just want to give my quick thoughts about it. I think it was cool to look at this tier list for the first time in, 6 years, an official tier list in 6 years. Pretty much everything looks good, with the exception of Roy. Honestly, I think Roy should have been ranked higher, and Game & Watch should have been ranked lower. If I were to change something, I would switch those two characters. I would switch Roy and Game & Watch. I think Roy is heavily underrated, and I think Game & Watch is being overrated in the tier list. With Falco, there's really not much to say. Falco just has a hard time against Jigglypuff, even though Falcos have beaten Jigglypuffs more consistently. Falco is not as good as a character as he was back in 2014, 2015. Not as good. He just hasn't been as good. You know, it's just the bottom line. And with Marth being the second best character in the game, totally agree with that. Makes sense. The mid tiers, the low tiers, everything from mid tier to low tier is perfect. I kind of just can't disagree with it. I'm not an expert on the subject. All I can really say is they did a good job, and I like it. So I'm going to go play some Melee now. So have fun, peace out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.